welcome to Kaleidoscope. We have a real treat today. You are going to be thrilled because our former co-host and shall we say now blogger is here with us today, Nan Michael.
Hello,
Yay!
Athens. I hope you're doing better than the schools are today.
Isn't that the truth? Since they're closed.
Well, if you remember, let me just back up a minute and say that you may not recognize me because I've gotten older since I was on Kaleidoscope. That's why I wore this blouse, so I knew you'd recognize the blouse. You know, Jane doesn't like videoing, and that was the whole purpose of Kaleidoscope, is you could see little pieces of life in Athens, but she took over the show, and she doesn't like it, so, but when I came on now as the guest, I brought a couple of videos to share with you. So that's your goodie for the day that I'm visiting back. What I was doing, I saw in front of the recreation center, or is it community center? I'm not sure what. Mm-hmm. Anyway, a great big sign that said Psychic Fair today. And that made me so curious. I went all the way back to Access and picked up the camera, and I got some of the Psychic Fair, which is really interesting to me. It was to me. I didn't interview any psychics, but there were psychics there working. But the one, I don't know, the exhibitor that I would long to have a session with is the man that was relaxing someone with sound. And I didn't get up close to him because I was afraid I would be run off. So I stood across the room and zoomed in. And the young man was very respectful and serious, and he has a CD, and you'll see his name on the video. And the two snips that you're going to see this session will be on an hour-long show on Access any day now. Okay, take it away.
Opened up and it was full of these crystals. And I have no idea what it was, but
Okay, so here we are now, the three of us. As you know, Nan is here, and this is Shannon, who has been helping Nan to become familiar with the world of blogging. And I thought this would be a really interesting discussion because I've always heard about blogging. I've always, like say people so and so has a blog. But I don't really know what that is, and I wonder how many other people do either. So we're going to talk a little bit about a blog, and we're going to start talking to Nan. What possessed you to want to have a blog?
Did you introduce this person?
Yes.
You said Shannon.
Shannon. I did say Shannon. Yes, I did.
It's my attention that is wandering. Well, Shannon is the one that helped me with my books.
Mm-hmm.
And
excuse me 1 second. Those of you who are longtime listeners and watchers will remember that Nan wrote a book and self-published it.
Three books.
The first one, though, that you
So
talked
far.
about on Kaleidoscope was about, 2 years ago or so, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And so she learned how to get into the world of self-publishing to do this
Creative
particular
space.
book. Creative space. Okay, go ahead. Well, Shannon helped you with your book.
Blog.
Yes.
Okay. The reason actually I got into blogging is because everybody said that's the way you sell your self-published books.
Oh.
Because I can't presume to ask people to pay money for a book. I'm just not pushy. The local bookstore doesn't even know I published 2 more books because I'm just not pushy.
I think I should be your representative. How about that?
I don't know, Shannon, you're gonna.
No, I
can have that.
I don't have anything to do with that. I'll just sell your books for you. How's that? Oh gosh.
Well, so I had to learn how to blog, and they say WordPress was the best one, the best domain or something. Platform. Oh, look at there. And that's fairly intricate. So I jumped in, and my mind goes all over the place, and so I wasn't satisfied with just one blog. I ended up with 14.
14?
Because I wanted to say something about all these topics.
But you couldn't say it all on one blog.
Technically, she is saying it all on one blog. It's we go round and round about this. Her one blog, nanmichael.com, has 14 static pages that stay where they're put. And then she makes posts.
And you can go straight to them.
So these are like chapters in a book.
Kind of,
the
except
Book of
for-
Nan Michael. By the way, I just saw the Book of Mormon, the play, the Book of Mormon. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the Book of Nan Michael, and then it has 14 chapters. And she posts in each one of those chapters.
Well, she doesn't post in the chapters. She doesn't post on the pages. We argue about this a lot too.
There's a difference
she
between
makes
pages
posts.
and posts.
And she gives each post a category. And largely on Nan's blog, each of the categories corresponds to the pages.
Okay.
However, you don't have to structure your blog that way.
Okay, well, I'll show you, or Matt will show you, the first pages of my blogs.
Wow, look at that.
There is about Nan Michael, and the little man blowing his horn says under there that I'm not really tooting my own horn, but people say this is the way I should get somebody to buy a book. And I do mention that my income tax lady felt sorry for me when she saw the amount of my royalties last year, and she bought one of my books.
Wasn't that nice of her? I'm telling you, that was really nice of her.
Yes. Okay, my next one it has a parent category of my books, and then it has each of the books listed. Now there's my first book up there on the left, and coming up the screen, crawling up, is the book I have of some poetry and short stories. The next one deals with the topic of my first book, and it is on incest, because I did so much research on that. And you may remember that I used to treat sex offenders at the prison. Isn't that cute little girl there?
Adorable.
I got, it's the only photograph I've actually written for permission to use. And anyway, that is information on incest. And I had so many articles left over from my research that I offered them to anybody that wanted them, so they could do research in the field, and I would pay postage, but nobody wanted them, so I gave them to the garbage man.
She recycled them, we're sure.
Oh, that's great.
And the next one is on, look at there, there's Mandy.
Aw. How old is she there?
I don't know.
3, 4?
But anyway, Down syndrome. And that Heaven's Special Child was a poem that someone wrote a long time ago that the nurse read to me when Mandy was born. It was just beautiful. So that's called Dear Downs, and I've got a couple of people with Down's children that follow me. And one of them adopted an infant who has Down syndrome.
Oh,
And
it's
she
wonderful.
has 3 other children too, but
Wow.
she has a blog about him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next one is on journaling, because I journal in half my book. In fact, the incest book is my journal over the years. So I thought that I would encourage people to journal and have a place to do that. The next one is Our Shadow Selves.
Oh. Your Jungian blog.
Yes. Isn't that a neat picture? That's really neat. And I've got a lot of thinking about the shadow in there, and extrapolation to what we know about the dark side of everyone. And some experiments that have shown us not to be too cool. But, and then the wondering whether that's the shadow side or that's the evolution side, whether that should be included anyway. To offset all these grim topics, I wanted one just for fun, and that is one I called Relief. And that's relief and refreshing, and you can go down a little bit on that. Go down just a little bit more. Isn't that cute?
Yes.
I guess that's enough. I love that. And then I have uplifting sayings and really uplifting thoughts and pictures. And the next is, yeah, that's my grandbabies. I put that on my relief too.
Yeah, they're quite a relief always.
The next one is Secrets. I named it Secrets because I knew everybody would go there first, and I wanted to educate them.
We were just talking about that too, how families have secrets and so forth.
And these secrets are things I have come across in the literature that just blew my mind, and I wanted to record it so I could remember it in the future. So I think I have like 32 right now. When I read something that is startling, I put it on here.
Well, I'm going to have to start reading this. That sounds interesting to me.
And the next one is, WordPress calls it poetry, and I wish I could straighten them out because it's poet /try.
Mm.
And they don't get that little slash, but that's okay. And that's a picture from my second book. Remember I was telling you, yeah, that's it. Pictures add a lot to these things. Okay, the next to the last blog is Dream On. And isn't that
That's a great picture too,
isn't
yeah.
it? I love that. And it's about dreams, and I have scads of stuff on dreams that I think that wouldn't hurt to share with people. And I do, and I put a couple of my own dreams on there from time to time.
Is it
And
Stephen?
the last page is the best one of all because it's life issues, and I don't have to worry about what blog to put it on because it covers everything, and it's got everything in the kitchen sink on it. I mean, and right there is Patricia's black poem about inviting a corporation to lunch because they're people.
Mm.
I just put that on there, and I put some of mine on, and I put some from Blogland on that I find that I really, really like. Actually, to date, my favorite poet that I follow is Whimsico. And I'm not sure whether Whimsico's a man or a woman. Sometimes the little gravatars are indistinct. But when I started my blog, Shannon said, you got to call it something. And I just could not come up with a name. She said, well, just call it Nan Michael. So I did. Since then, I'm following a lot of blogs with great names. I'd like to share some of the names with you so you get an idea of what's happening out there. One is Gentle Mental Kindness, The World Past Me, The 10th Muse, A Mind Divided, AUT, A-U-T for autism, Miss Apple Abroad,
Oh.
Invisible Misfit, On the Verge, Metaphors and Smiles, Quest for World Peas, WHIRLED-PEAS, Lonely Blue Boy, Traces of the Soul, Neutral Nonsense, Gender Mom, this is by a mother of transgender, Lillian the Home Poet, Capricious Poet, Writer's Dream 9, Silver Girl, Bewildered Creatures, Night Owls, Whimsy Gizmo, Breaking Sarah, Bruised Not Broken, Adopting Jana, that's the one that adopted the Little Downs, Mad Hatter Poetry, Hands in the Garden, Black and Wordy, The Macabre Author, The Darkest Fairy Tale, Notes from a Narcissist, Bring Me the Head of David Dixon. This is a cartoonist that posts from time to time. Child of Cynicism and Trying to Be Conscious. Another, A Poem in My Pocket, Rattle and Pen, Adulthood, If I Must, The Hedgehog, Empowering Adult Survivors of Sexual Abuse Through Photography. That's someone's project they have. So,
Now, I'm just afraid that's a little bit intimidating for people. You know, like all those things. How?
just one.
Just one. So, let's back up a little bit. When you decided, or Shannon persuaded you, that you should have a blog.
No,
She wanted
that's
money.
not how it worked.
That's not how it works.
Nan was like, I can't stop writing. I need to make a blog. And I said, okay.
All right, we'll make a blog. Okay, so when you did that, and you were helping Shannon, what's the first thing that you did? How, like, let's just take me for an example. Maybe I want to do this, but I haven't got a clue. Where would I turn on my computer?
Well, I bought a book,
Oh, a book on blogging.
and I gave it to Shannon just in case she...
That was thoughtful. That's really thoughtful. Had you had experience with this previously?
Not really. But I think that a lot of people do blog, and most of the time, when they are first starting out, they might have that same level of experience, just having heard the word blog and not knowing what to do. If you are in that situation, the easiest platform to go with is WordPress. So the first step would just to be to log on to WordPress.com.
And it's free.
And it's free.
You see on the screen there the part that's circled. You just click that. I make a blog. Now WordPress has free availabilities as well as some stuff you can pay for. So if you make a free WordPress blog, your blog is always going to be something like creamed spinach at .wordpress.com. Whereas if you buy the premium version, you can make your own. What do they call that?
Your own .com?
Domain?
Domain, yes. You can purchase a unique domain name. Nan is a genius, and she purchased Nan Michael, NANMYKEL.com. So as a second step, after you sign on to make your WordPress, it walks you through the steps. So you create a WordPress account, and that is the easiest online software to use to start working on your own blog.
And was it expensive to buy your own domain?
No. I don't remember. I don't think I paid. I'm not sure I paid anything for nanmichael.com.
You do.
Well, if you don't
do.
remember, it probably
But with
wasn't much.
WordPress, I didn't.
Yeah, probably wasn't much if you don't remember. So, it's going to be negligible maybe to buy your own domain.
If you go with the name of your blog .wordpress, that's free.
Yeah. So, okay, so now you've done this. You've started this. You have a WordPress account. You have, let's say, you have nanmichael.wordpress.com in the beginning, maybe. So then, what do you see when you start to begin? Is it just like a blank page? You do it on Word? How do you?
You pick out a theme.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
not like it was 10 years ago if you wanted to create internet content, maybe much more than 10 years now, because that wasn't that long ago. But say in the 90s, when people were first starting, non-professionals were first starting to create internet content, they had to know HTML. They had to know
Right.
what language the internet spoke. You don't have to do that now. Like Nan said, you pick a theme. It's a lot like opening up a Word document and picking a pre-made flyer template or something.
Oh, okay.
So you pick a theme, and that tells you what spaces you have to put what content where on your blog.
And so now see, I'm feeling better about this already in case I want to do it, because it's intimidating to me to think about having to create all this stuff. Good. I can put something in a box on the internet. I'm quite sure I can do that. I feel good.
And it's got a little program that you can store photographs in. So when you can add all my blogs have pictures in them because it makes them more attractive, eye-catching.
Well, one of the things that I would like to do if I were going to do it is blog about my travels, and I have a lot of pictures that I took on my travels. I'll be looking through pictures and I'll see one and I'll think, oh, remember that, and I can tell a story about that.
Now there's two things, as Shannon says, the difference between a post and a page. A page is like your front page and it's static. And I don't like to leave mine static too long, so my static pages, I add like other people's poems to it and all kinds of stuff. But then if I want people that follow me to see what I'm saying now, I make a post, and then WordPress tells me how many people viewed that post and any comments they made to it.
Oh, like on Facebook.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier than Facebook. I still don't understand Facebook.
Well, now like today, I posted something on Facebook that I was complaining about something. And right away, somebody answered me back and said, something about what I said. And it pops up in my email. I just happened to be doing my email at that point in time, and it popped up there. So does WordPress do that? Like if you get a response to your post, does it show up in your email?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
You can, just like in Facebook, you can select your different media choices. You can select whether Facebook emails you or texts you or not when there's an update. You can do the same thing for WordPress. And blogs are a lot like Facebook and Twitter and other social media things. We were talking before, those are actually considered microblogs because you as an informal user are posting content, usually short content that gets uploaded in a chronological order and people can go look at it. It's the same idea for a blog. So if you're someone who's been using Facebook, WordPress and other blogs work a lot the same way. And you control the way that WordPress communicates with you the same way you can control the way Facebook communicates with you.
That's something you need to teach me is Facebook.
Excellent.
How to get around there a little better. I don't understand it.
Well, I think for most people, it's probably the most familiar. Like when we say this is like Facebook, I picture that, if I were watching this program, you said that, I would feel big relief. Like, oh boy, well, I know about Facebook. I've been using it for years. So now I see, when I listen to you talk, I see that there's a lot of familiar things here in the blogosphere.
But there's also more available on a blog, especially WordPress, than there is on Facebook. On Facebook, you can make posts, you can create events, but you can't have that static pages thing. You have an About Me section and a Photos section. But on WordPress, you can be like Nan and you can have 14 different pages that you add to regularly, as well as the posts that you update every day or so, make new ones.
Well, I think I've decided not to do another book unless I revise my novel.
Your first novel was part of a trilogy. You have to do other books.
Those people who bought that book are out there waiting.
It's a cliffhanger.
What people?
They're saying, when is that woman ever going to publish another book?
If you went to my blog and opened up Shattered Boundaries, you would see, do not read this book. I am revising it.
Oh, well,
I think that would make me want to read it more.
Yeah, right. Well, I think that, and another thing I'm getting from this, because really, literally, I just knew nothing. I knew nothing about this. Very, very little. Another thing I'm getting from this is there's a lot of freedom here. You can pretty much do what you want to do. There's no, like Facebook has a lot of, or I feel anyway, there's a lot of things I wouldn't say on Facebook that, I feel like, well, people are going to read it, that I know, type thing. Maybe I don't want to say that. Sounds like this. Oh, have at it, right?
Yeah,
Well, that's an advantage of being 80. I have no secrets anymore.
You don't care.
I gave a talk at the Authors Fair at the library. I taped it, and when I played it back, I saw all these weird faces I made, and I copied several and put them on the blog, saying, this is why people don't buy my blog, because I make such faces when I talk. Did you see some of the faces?
Oh, goodness. Well, the probably the worst thing about being on TV or being taped at all, whether it goes on TV or whatever happens to it is, you can stop it at a certain moment. And all of us are going to look crazy. Yeah, there's going to be a moment for all of us, unless you're a newscaster and you've been trained, to just look like this all the time.
You get caught.
Yeah, right, or, whatever you're doing. So don't feel too bad, because I think any of us, if you stop the tape, would have weird expressions from time to time. But, and I certainly know that my grandchildren, they will, without telling you, tape you and then get a weird expression and then play with it and make it
really?
even more weird and crazy.
And put it on their blog.
What did they get for Christmas?
Oh, really? They got my iPad for Christmas as soon as they can get their hands on it. But anyhow, back to the blog. So if you have, is there any restriction on content at all?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't do things that are illegal still. So you can't use a blog to traffic humans or drugs. Well, I mean, you can, but you will get in trouble for it. And people can report your content for being inappropriate. And WordPress has discretion to take things down if they want to do it, a lot like Facebook does. But there are very few limitations. You can, if you wanted to, you could blog anonymously and say really mean things about your friends, and you're right, they would know it was you.
Well, the only wipeout that I've been aware of was a blog called Mom's Toy Daddy's Doll. And she just went off at her parents. I mean, like, I hope you die, I will dance at your funeral, all this kind of stuff. And the next week it was wiped
Gone.
out. So the people that run WordPress are open to people complaining.
You also have to be careful that you're not plagiarizing anything. Nan mentioned before that she did ask for permission to use one of the photos on her blog. All of the photos that she used that she doesn't ask for permission, she always cites them. And a lot of them come from public domain, like the creativecommons.org. But you still
there's
cite them.
WikiArt. Have you ever visited WikiArt?
Yes.
Oh, and you can use anything like on there, like what, before 1900 anyway.
Yeah.
And they have examples of the different kinds of art. It goes on and on and on. It's an encyclopedia, and it's really
Well, it's
impressive.
Wikipedia. It's a spin-off from Wikipedia. So they've got a couple spin-offs that are interesting. So let's just say that I'm going to run home. Well, actually, I'm going to drive, but you know what I mean.
I'm subtracting her services.
Are you? I'm going to have to pay Nan now for all this. But let's just say I'm going to do this. Okay, so I run home, I get on WordPress, I get myself a page, and I post some content, okay? I just said something about travel, so let's say it's about travel, and I put some of my pictures up there that I want to talk about. Okay, so how does anybody even know it's there?
Well, until you get followers, a lot of people won't see it right away. WordPress has some built-in search helpers that tells the internet this content exists. When you make a post, you have the choice to give it a category and to give it some tags. The tags are how people can search the internet, and your content might pop up in a search
Like
engine.
Google, they might say travel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The more people that view your page, the more often it's going to come up higher and higher in people's Google search results. So it is kind of your responsibility once you make a blog to immediately start sharing it. Hey, I want you guys to read this. Or you could make a blog just for yourself, and you don't really need to worry about sharing it so that people come and visit.
well, I think it would be fun to share it and see. I mean, I would be interested in feedback. I'd like to know what people had to say. You know, I just don't want to be out there by myself, you know, ignored, shall we say. But I can, okay, so I think up a snappy little title for my travel blog that kind of would interest people. And then I give it tags, you know, like
You give the post tags.
give the post tags. And then I sit back and wait and see what happens, huh?
Well, you could sit
You
back
don't
and wait,
sit back.
or you
You
could
don't sit
you
back.
could be
You
a little
work
more.
all the time. That gets you so busy.
true.
blogs do, because
Yeah.
the more you blog, the more things happen.
And it's not just the more you create content. When Nan uses the word blog as a verb, she doesn't mean just type and post. She means becoming a part of the blogging community. So you use your blog to go out and find other people that have WordPress blogs. WordPress has something called Reader that is a little bit like a Facebook wall. It pops up content that they think you would enjoy. You can go look at that person's content and you can follow them and you can leave them comments. The more you do that, the more they're going to respond to you, participate in your
And
blog.
you can
thus,
say you're going to follow them, and that they know you're following them, so often they will then follow back. So you're
Yeah,
both
yeah,
following
yeah.
each other.
Interesting.
And there's I don't know what you call it, but the reader lists all of the sites you are following, and you can look at them, and then it will show you all the recent postings of those you follow. I think I follow like 86 now.
86.
Well, they don't write all the time,
Well,
but
thank
you
goodness
know,
for that.
I know them. The first person that commented on my blog lives in South Africa,
Oh,
and at one time she had commented 50 times, so I got one faithful follower.
oh, there you go. Well, you don't think about that, but now this isn't just Facebook where you're talking to your friends or friends of friends or, somebody you went to high school with. This is the whole world possibly could come and visit you. So that's interesting.
It has a map, and it's in red where the people you follow you live, so you can see the spread.
Well, I do some reviewing on TripAdvisor, and they do something like that, where the people live who read your reviews. I have 10,000 readers of my reviews on TripAdvisor. How did this
She's
happen?
bragging.
she needs a blog so she can toot her own horn.
Yeah, right. That's the whole purpose of my blog. The Wonders of Jane That'll be fun for you to read. But I mean, seriously, when I say that, it just blows my mind. I can't believe it. I mean, like, I can't even believe 10,000 people wanted to read that stuff that I wrote, but they did. So it's great, but it's kind of scary too, because you think, oh my gosh, 10,000. Now I feel obligated to do more blogging, more reviewing, because these people are reading what I review. I've got this like little following, and I can see this would happen with blogging. So you really you don't want to disappoint your followers. You want to keep
Do you feel that way?
posting.
Do you feel that way? Do you feel obligated to keep posting?
I feel obligated to do at least one post a day just to keep alive,
Yeah, I would too, I'm sure.
It's active. But then I have 14 pages to choose from.
There you go. You don't have to always be on the same
Don't let
one.
that stop you. If you want to blog once a week or once a month or once a year, you can. The internet doesn't stop you from it.
No, and you may not want followers. I mean, just like she said, this might be something that you want to do just for yourself. Like maybe you want to tell the story of your childhood and put it down there for your own children or posterity. It doesn't have to be somebody from South Africa's reading it. It can be something that you just keep for yourself, right?
Jane suggested earlier she would like to write a book. And if you are someone that wants to write a book, you could use a blog to publish pieces of the book that you want to write, and that would kind of keep it manageable for you.
And I have started it a couple of times. It's actually YA, young adult. It's not kind of young
A
adult
couple
thing.
of times that sounds like giving up smoking.
I know. And it's about my grandfather, who was born in Wales, in the hills and valleys of Wales. And I won't go through this whole thing, but when he was 12 years old...
Buy the book.
Yeah, right. Get ready to buy that book. When he was 12 years old, he got put in the mines, coal mines. And he couldn't stand it, so he ran away from home. and joined the British Navy and sailed all over the world.
When he was 12?
Yes, a cabin boy. He was a cabin boy.
Whoa.
They didn't say cabin boy for nothing. They were boys. They really were boys, little boys. And he was in there 5 years. When he was 17, he came back to Wales, and guess what they said? Well, that job in the mine's right there waiting for you. He said, no. So he went to work in a steel mill. And the guy that he worked for had been in the United States here, working in steel mills. And then he returned to Wales. And he told my grandfather, "You're a young, smart guy. Get out of here and go to the United States. That's where you can, make something of yourself." And so he came. He persuaded his wife. I don't know how he did it, but he persuaded her to come, and they came to the United States, to Ohio, where there were a lot of steel mills, right on the Ohio River. And I think that's marvelous. I mean, I can't even imagine doing it myself at that age and running away from home and, all that kind of stuff. But as a result of that, all of his relatives now, here we are. Thanks, Tommy. So anyhow, that's kind of the structure, of the book. And then, it would stop there. But if I were going to do it for adults, then I would talk about the ramifications of all this, how it ripples down through the generations, It's very interesting to me. But anyhow, back to our original topic of blogging. So if there's somebody out there now, hopefully they feel better, they understand a little bit better.
You can do it.
You can do it.
And how to get hold of Shannon.
I don't think
She's
they
a
do.
good deal.
She might not want them to. Maybe she would though. You could start a little service, like help, except you have to pay $2.
$2.
I don't know. I just made that up. Maybe 20. And by the way, have you noticed Shannon's T-shirt? Can you see what it says on her T-shirt?
Can you? Can you see?
It says
AmeriCorps!
So why does it say AmeriCorps on your T-shirt, Shannon?
It says AmeriCorps because I'm using some time today to rep for our AmeriCorps program through Rural Action, Ohio Stream Restore Corps. We are recruiting right now for our 26-member AmeriCorps program that deals in the fields of environmental restoration and economic development. We have 26 positions that are in watershed restoration, zero waste, environmental education, sustainable forestry, and trail access and eco-and-heritage tourism. Our members do things like sample in the streams and run outdoor summer camps for kids and create tourism opportunities that are based around the natural assets that we have as well as the historical assets we have, a rich history of coal mining and labor unions and all sorts of neat stuff going on in the area. Our members are also the ones that pick through trash at the festivals, like the Nelsonville Music Festival and the Paw Paw Festival.
Now there's a lure to get somebody.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's way more fun than I made it sound. And AmeriCorps is a great opportunity for anyone that's in a transition period in their life, maybe graduating from high school, from college, found out they didn't like their job, they've retired, they want to do something. You can join AmeriCorps. You do a term of service, which is typically around a year. You make a living allowance. You get some training opportunities in that year. And you meet a lot of people and do a lot of great things for your community.
How is that related to Rural Action?
Rural Action, Ohio Stream Restore Corps is Rural Action's AmeriCorps program. So we have several of the AmeriCorps sites are in Rural Action sectors, like Rural Action's Monday Creek and Sunday Creek, and environmental education programs. We also have some partner organizations where
I bet you have some blogs too.
Maybe some. We have a capacity building member, and she blogs. She helps us do social media and newsletters and things like that.
What if you don't want to pick through trash and do stuff in the woods? What if you want to do something else? Can you do that?
Well, in our AmeriCorps program, most of the opportunities are outdoor focused, but our ecotourism spots are a little more planning and more administering some of the programs, so you don't do as much of the field work. However, there are AmeriCorps programs all over the country, so you could find things that were more for tutoring or health education, or we have
cool.
ComCorps in the area too. ComCorps is a 25-member AmeriCorps program out of Ohio University, and they do nutrition education and obesity prevention in kids in our region. So check that out too. If you want
great.
to apply for AmeriCorps, you can apply for our program by going to ruralaction.org and click Our Programs, AmeriCorps, and check out, read the background, look at the available positions, look at how to apply.
That's a website.
That's a website, not a blog, ruralaction.org. And if you're interested in ComCorps, both ComCorps and Ohio Stream Restore Corps are on my.americorps.gov. Build a profile, search for listings.
Excellent.
Do we have time for Rondosi?
If we have anybody who's interested, and that was something that they wanted to do, and they wanted more information, you can call Access, and we'll see if we can hook you up with her. Shannon's very enthusiastic about this and knows a lot about it. So
I can also help you start a blog and edit a book
Yeah.
and get on CreateSpace, which is how you self-publish books.
there you go.
I'm a
I mean,
helpful
she's
person.
a multi-talented individual here. So let us kind of draw this to a close by saying that I think an important thing has just cropped up here. The difference between web page and blog. Because we said it was WordPress. Is it WordPress.com or .org?
Both, but you have to pay for .org.
Okay, so whatever you do, that makes it sound like it's a web page, which it is, but it's a web page that hosts your blog. But just a regular old web page, like she was talking about, that will give you information. When you Google something, a web page pops up. There's a little bit of a difference there, so just keep that in mind. If you begin to blog, yes, you're going to do it on the internet. Yes, you're going to be out there in internet land, but it's a little bit different than if you just had a web page. If you just have a web page, then the way people find you is by Googling. But now, why am I saying this? I don't know. All I know about it is what Shannon just said. But I think I think there's a little bit of fear sometimes for people, like, to get out there and put themselves out there, and afraid bad things happen on the internet sometimes.
It's okay. If anything bad happens, you just get rid of your blog.
There you go.
It's easy.
And well, what I like about this is you're kind of protected by WordPress as well. It's not just you with a web page out there, for the world to see. You're part of this WordPress thing. So I think that's good. I think that would be encouraging for somebody.
Okay, now I
So-
think we can go to Rondosi.
Now tell who is Ron Dosey anyway.
I didn't
Yeah,
talk
who's
about
Ron
him.
Dosey anyway?
Rondosi does training in happiness.
Oh, happiness. Well, I got to get him on this program.
He will tell you about it, but he did 2 early videos for Access. One was a bicycle race, a tournament, and he did a great job. And then he did the Shady River Shufflers at the fair one year, which was a good job. And he will tell you about his workshops.
Oh, and happiness. Now, if you're an unhappy person, this is going to be your thing here. Watch this, and you will see how to get a hold of Mr. Dosey and become a happy person. So thank you, Nan. Thank you,
welcome.
Shannon. I
you.
appreciate
Thank you
your
both.
time to come in, and I hope everybody out there if you start blogging tomorrow, let us know, because we'll really be fascinated. And if I start blogging, if I start putting all my travel stuff on a blog, I'll let you know.
Follow
Okay.
nanmichael.com.
Follow.
It's been fun.
Bye, Athens.
We're
It's been nice to be with you.
This is how we do it? We
This
do it like
is
that?
how we do
Okay.
it.
Bye, Athens!
Bye.
You want me to sit down so it's more face on?
Well, that would be fine.
Or I could, yeah, because it's like looking up in my nose now or something. I'm not sure.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, and so that you look at here instead of me.
Okay, but remind me your first name again.
Nan.
Nan, of course, Nan. Well, Nan, thank you for asking. Transformational workshops are louder. Okay, transformational workshops are workshops that help people transform their lives. Which means if you want to be happier, if you want better relationships, if you want to improve your work situation, if you want to improve your fate in life, there are ways that you can do that. And you can stay in the circle that you're in now and tell yourself the same stories that you tell yourself that keep you from moving on, or you can move on. So these workshops are about helping people come into their own, to connect with what it is that they want and how to get it, to understand what they let get in the way, and give them tools to get that stuff out of the way so that they can come from an authentic place of empowerment and get what they want out of their life. Do you have any questions about that, Nan?
Well, can I ask a question about you?
Sure.
What happened to you? It seems like you disappeared.
Well, I actually didn't disappear. You know, I've been a father of kids that are now just leaving the college age.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's kept me busy. I've landed in the country where I garden and do selective cut logging, and I'm creating some cabins to make a retreat just outside of Athens. So that's kept me busy. And I've transformed my business where for 40 years I helped inventors to market inventions. And
inventions, I was going to ask you about that. Because you know a lot about patent law and all that.
Well, I know a lot about patents and things like that. I'm not a patent attorney, but I know about marketing them and what that's about. And
you patented one of those little round...
The little stick-on blind spot mirrors that stick on your outside mirror. Yeah, that's something that I put on the market and sold successfully for decades and decades.
Wow, well...
And I wrote the book, The Inventor's Bible, in its 4th edition with Random House. 4th edition, 2015, with Random House. And so...
I'm impressed.
So it's doing well. However, I decided that I wanted to market something more meaningful than just inventions. And so these trainings, these transformational trainings, actually help people change their lives. So to me, changing a life was more important than just offering a new invention in the world.
Where did you get your training?
Well, I'm training right now out of Florida. So once a month, I travel for a weekend in Florida to learn how to do these trainings. And I'm towards the end of my training, so now I'm doing practice trainings of this nature. And the closest trainings to here are Charlotte, North Carolina, and Detroit, or New York City. So
what's the name of the outfit?
Well, there are different ones. There's different outfits doing these kinds. One's called Spectrum, one's called CEC. The one in Florida is called Gratitude Training. You can get under gratitudetraining.com. They're very inexpensive. It's 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. You go 30 hours of training in there, and it's like $200. It's like you can't beat it. So I'm doing these little distinctions, little 2-hour workshops. They're like parts of these trainings, just to offer it so people understand what's available to them. And I've been doing it at the UU Church, the Unitarian Universalist Church in Marietta, for the last couple of months. And so now here at the Psychic Fair or whatever, Wellness Fair, whatever we're in here in Athens, is the first time I've introduced it to Athens. You know, make it available for people here. So if they want to learn about a 2-hour workshop, they could contact me for information. Should I give my number? Or is it going to go in the public and I'm going to get, weird
Just
stuff?
say it slowly.
Really? Or I can give my
I mean,
email. That make more sense?
Okay, you can email me.
Yeah, email docie@docie.com, and Docie spelled D.
O-C-I-E.
O-C-I-E And I'll give you a phone number. What the heck? 740-591-1239. That's 740-591-1239. If you have any questions about transformational workshops or when I'm going to do the next one, the first one, next one will be free.
Now, when you say, you start the word trans something. And
Transformational.
Transformation.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for recognizing me.
Oh, how could I not recognize you, Nan?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.